and goods, turned it to an economic engine for Hamas. It became the number one income, budget income of Hamas in Gaza. With that money, they use for terror, to restore their abilities, and to get more young terrorists into their organization. I'm reminding what was said by President Biden in the beginning of the war. He said that aid will end if Hamas diverts or steals the assistance. Can we see it?
Yes, please.
And began to move from Egypt to Gaza. Let me be clear. If Hamas diverts or steals the assistance, they will have demonstrated once again that they have no concern for the welfare of the Palestinian people. And it will end. As a practical matter, it will stop the international community from being able to provide this aid.
Thank you.
Same things, or similar things, were said by the former Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. And you know that they are not only taking over the aid, they are also shooting civilians that try to have access to it. And they use it as an engine to continue the war against Israel. This cannot continue, and this will not continue. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open it for questions. Yes.
Minister, good morning. Dan Williams from Bloomberg. Channel 12 News reported yesterday that Israel has a deadline of 10 days, 9 days from today, at which it will resort to war if the diplomatic impasse doesn't end. Is this true? Has Israel set a date for a resumption of the war? Second question, what are your hopes for the Arab League meeting?
Who said that?
Channel 12.
They are responsible for that.
Does Israel have a deadline?
If we will want to do that, we will declare it. If Channel 12 do it or any other channel, they are responsible for it, not the government of Israel.
Does Israel have a deadline for a resumption of the war?
I think I answered your question.
Thank you.
If we will want to do it, we will do it.
Thank you. Yes. Next question, please.
Mr. Tia from the Associated Press. Can you give us a sense of how progress has been made on implementing Trump's plan for the population of Gaza? Have there been discussions with certain countries about moving the population there, and if so, what countries?
I don't think I can report, at least on that stage. These negotiations are mainly done by the US, and I think it is fair that they will reveal it. I said in the past, also here, that we support the initiative, and as long as it is connected to the free will of potential immigrants, on one hand, there is, on the other hand, a country which is ready to accept. It is humane, moral, and the most practical thing to do. And we'll see it by time.
Thank you. Yes, please. Yes.
Stopping the humanitarian aid to Gaza, and is this measure allowed under international humanitarian aid? As the foreign minister, how will you explain this to the international community?
I just explained that. I just explained that aid that goes to Hamas is not humanitarian. As I emphasized, it's a tool, it's a vehicle, it's a mean to continue the war against Israel. It's part today, the major part of Hamas incomes in Gaza Strip. And as President Biden said in the past, if that will be the circumstances, we will have to stop it. I don't know of any other country in the world that is being asked to finance the war against itself. So as long as we had the commitment during the first phase of the framework to release our hostages, we did it in that framework. Last day was Saturday. We implemented that fully. We don't have any commitment now to finance terror against ourselves.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you. Samuel, for you, how do you see the rapprochements between the Turks and the Kurds and its consequences in Syria?
I've said in the past that it is expected that minorities of the rights in Syria will be respected, and of course it includes the Kurds. You know, a couple of times Turkey invaded to the north of Syria, and they're still present there in various ways. I express once again our expectation, which I believe is the national community expectations, that rights of the minorities in Syria, including the Kurds, the Druze, the Christians, the Alawites, and others, will be fully respected.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Does Israel defend and support territorial integrity of Syria? And as a follow-up, there were reports in the Israeli media, Israel is in contact with Russia and the US to minimize the Turkish influence in Syria.
I didn't get the second question, so I'll answer the first, and then you'll repeat the second. The question is not about territorial integrity. Until the coup d'etat in Damascus, nothing happened from our point of view. Until the disengagement agreement from 1974 was breached during a weekend when armed forces entered to the buffer zone illegally, also attacked UNDOF forces. Our interest in our border is to have a quiet border, not to have another border of terrorism, to have Islamist groups on our border will be dramatically dangerous for Israel. We had that experience with Lebanon, we had that experience with Gaza Strip. I think the best way to guarantee a peaceful border is to avoid its possibility. All the activity we are doing there, which is very limited, is connected to that. We want a safe border, we want a quiet border. We have our communities in the Golan Heights is very close to the border there. We also know that there is an intention of Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas to attack us from this border, to create it as another terror border for Israel, and we will not allow it, and we will be prepared. We learned our lesson from October 7, and we will not allow another October 7 from any front.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Israel these days is very in sync with the Trump administration, but on Syria, they seem to be taking a different direction in Washington. They're talking about sanctions relief. What kind of coordination, cooperation is Israel having with Washington on Syria on this front, where they seem a lot more optimistic about the new regime?
Well, first of all, we are discussing that. We discussed it with Secretary Rubio when he was in Israel, and it is ongoing discussions between the two governments. I won't speak on behalf of the American administration. I can only speak on behalf of the government of Israel. say what we see. We try to be very honest. We care for the minorities. We care for our security. We hope to see positive developments there. We try to stay realistic as much as we can.
Thank you. Yes, over there.
Matt Bradley, NBC News. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine obviously was facing substantial pressure and was quite a dramatic showdown with the President of the United States and the Vice President of the White House. I wanted to ask why, after President Zelensky gave such fulsome support to Israel following the October 7th attacks, did Israel decide to vote with the United States and Russia?
What kind of support?
Huge support.
Can you remind me one vote that Ukraine voted for Israel in the General Assembly of the UN? Can you do it on one vote from hundreds? Can you do it?
Yeah.
So okay. So let me put the facts. We supported Ukraine. We voted for Ukraine. We voted for Ukraine time and again for the sovereignty, for their territorial integrity, condemning the Russian invasion to Ukraine. We did it. They didn't. This is the truth. Sometimes they abstained. That was the best. So let's first speak with regard to the facts as we know them. Let's not invent alternative facts and reality. And everything I've said now, including our condemnation for the Russian invasion to Ukraine, is still our position. We hadn't changed our position. We thought it is good to give a chance to the initiative of the American presidents to bring peace after 3 years of war there. This is why we voted with the United States in the UN. But I think that even now, to compare the record of votes of Israel to the record of votes of Ukraine on both issues, I think we voted much better.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Nathan Oppenheimer, New York Times. On the topic of peace, two questions. The first is regarding Egypt. Why are we seeing the comments such as Ambassador Leiter in the DC and Minister Katz, Defense Minister Katz, about Egypt, sort of implying that maybe Egypt is rounding up its troops in the Sinai against Israel, kind of inflicting fear among the Israeli public from Egypt, while Egypt, at least saying that they're on the side of Israel, and even the Israeli intelligence establishment is saying that there's no such fear. That's like the first question. How do you square that? And have you apologized or said anything to the Egyptian ambassador in this regard? These kind of lines of inquiry. The second question is, Minister Dermer said reportedly yesterday or 2 days ago that if Hamas will put down its weapons, there is a possibility that Israel will strike some sort of a peace accord with Palestinians.
Did you hear that from Minister Dermer?
I said, as it was reported.
Did you hear that? There was a report. Okay, since I saw the same report, I called the Minister Dermer and asked him, did you tell that? And he said, of course not a word. So that's about the second question. About the first question, we will deal on the issue. We are dealing and we will deal on the issue with the Egyptians. I don't do it in the media. We do it with the Egyptians.
Thank you. Yes. If you can present yourself, please.
Relations with Egypt are important for us.
He was just here. The representatives of Egypt were just at the office earlier, right?
Yeah, I'll see him, and I'm gathering Muslim ambassadors for the Ramadan. So I'll see him very soon.
Sorry, James again from Reuters. I'm just going back to a question which was asked earlier. Have you got any comment to make on the meeting of Arab League in Cairo today? And
Well, I might comment after it will be held. I might comment, see the results, and that will be wiser.
What do the results need to look for to give Israel an option out of the crisis? How can this meeting be useful?
We would like them to adopt Israelis' positions on the relevant issues, but I'm not 100% sure that will happen.
Thank you. Someone will do that. Yes, please.
I'm Nikolyokin, a freelance journalist. Do you want to condemn Ukraine over praising the people from the Holocaust time that were collaborators, like Bandera with the Nazis, and was responsible for so many Jews that were killed?
Who said that?
About Bandera or about what?
Yeah, the quote
That's
you.
Yad Vashem. That's the reference there.
First of all, we condemned each statement like that, but I hadn't
My
heard.
question, I didn't finish. They renamed the streets, even the street, the boulevard going to the Babi Yar, that you know, of course, in the name of Bandera, the one that was responsible for the Babi Yar, and also the monuments of the Red Army, they're taking them down, and they're putting monuments of Bandera, Evich, and Israel says nothing about that for years now.
First of all, I didn't know about it. I will check it, and you know that. You probably know that. Probably know that because you asked that. But it's your knowledge. That's clear. But we will check it, and if there is a necessity, we will publish a condemnation. No problem about it. I want to check it. We'll do that. Yeah. I think that we have a commitment to the memory of the Holocaust. We have a commitment to battle against anti-Semitism, phenomena of neo-Nazis, Holocaust denial, and this is very important to us. So I will instruct to check it, and if it is necessary, we'll condemn it, no doubt.
Thank you. Yes, please.
From France 24, question on the Operation Iron War. You said before that it has to be temporary, that it's due to be temporary, yet the Minister of Defense has asked the Army...
What kind? What should be temporary?
...operation in the northern aspect, the displacement of the civilians. What should we understand that...
I didn't refer to that, but of course this is a military operation in a place which is very problematic. There is a huge effort, we see it also in the intelligence of Iran, to bring huge amounts of weapons and money to what some call the West Bank and we call Judea and Samaria, mainly to these refugees camps, and trying to inflame a new wave of terrorism and open a new front against Israel from there. And this is the reason why we are active there. It's a self-defense activity. It might take time, but this is what it is. We hope to, still hope, we want to do that, but we have to do that. Just a very short time ago, we saw 5 buses in the center of our country, that 3 of them exploded, and 2, fortunately enough, we didn't have casualties, but it could have been totally different. So this is why we are active there. You see also today so many terrorist attacks. We know and we learn that it is better to act before and to initiate than to wait for the terrorists. This is what we do there.
We have time for a few more questions, Minister? Yeah. Okay. Yes, please.
About Egypt,
Yeah.
do you confirm there is a military build-up in Sinai? And how do you see this military build-up, this Egyptian military build-up, of course? Second, do you consider a change in the Camp David Accords? And I'm thinking about the MFO in Sinai, the Nutrition Force.
I said we will discuss it. We are discussing it, and we will discuss it with Egypt. I think it is better to discuss it with Egypt rather than discussing it through the press conference. This is what we do, and this is what we will do.
Yes, please.